Hello guys, this is Wunderby Trading and we're carrying on with our weekly Bitcoin and Ethereum price analysis. And last week was absolutely amazing in terms of what the price did in all different types of cryptocurrency assets. But let's start with BTC as usual. In front of you, you can see the four different charts. The top left is the BTC futures, the top right is the BTC dominance, and the bottom two are Bitstamp and Binance, so the BTC price from different exchanges. So let's start with the BTC futures. Over here, what you can see is that we broke above that downward trend on the 14th of January. The move was quite strong, the volume was quite good. We're trying to hold above the 200 MA as a support now. And at the same time, if you switch to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we have a new gap. So let's label this one, it's something like that. And once again, there is a 75% chance that this gap in particular is going to be filled during the first week. The previous gap was not completely filled during the first week, and that's why we can neglect it. So we don't look for it anymore. If it's going to be filled, it can be ages before it's actually going to be filled. So if it's not filled during the first week, we just dump it. In terms of the BTC futures, what we can see here is the clear divergence between the price, which is going up, and the RSI indicator, which is going down. And at the same time, the 50 MA going to be acting as a support line. So what we expect here is that we're gonna retest this level of 8,800. We're gonna fill this gap, and then we might go and retest the downward channel. This is the most likely scenario, taking into account the volume that is taking place, the divergence on the RSI. Let's look at the 1 day, and it's a very similar story over here. So even though the 200 MA is acting as a support right now, we can see that there is not enough volume for the upward move. So that's why our prediction is that we're going to fill the gap and then go and retest the downward channel. At this particular point, if the support is going to be significant, then we might see a full reversal. Let's look at the BTC dominance, because this would be the most interesting part. So you can see that during the previous weeks we were labeling the move, and we actually met it exactly. So we formed something like a double top over here. We broke this double top. Now it would be wonderful if we can recheck this area of 69% as a resistance, and then go even further down. And there are a couple of things in favor of that. First of all, once again, the price was on the same level while there is a drop in RSI. So we can see it over here. At the second point is that we are actually forming a duff cross. The 50 MA is going to cross down the 200 MA. And this is a strong technical indicator that the long-term trend is going to be a downward trend over here. And if you look at the previous week, some of the altcoins, such as Ethereum Classic, Dash, Zcash, they were pumping like crazy. And this is exactly where this huge candle is coming from. So while the BTC was more or less stable while trying to break out the downward channel, what we can see the altcoins did, or at least some of the altcoins did, was the huge pump. And this formation is just telling us that there might be some other altcoins which are waiting for their time for the whales to pick them up and to actually pump them. Let's go to the BTC Bitstamp chart, and let's look at the weekly here to see what's going on the weekly time frame. The 50 MA is acting as a support, and it's quite nice support. The RSI is slightly above 50, it's 52.9, but I would say it was somewhere in the middle. I'm still expecting the price to fall down a little bit towards the area of at least 6,800. And let's switch to the daily to confirm that. So the 200 is acting as a resistance over here. If we want to see some pullback, I would say it should go for at least 8,100. And if this is a healthy upward move, then we'll see something like this, the pullback towards this area, and then even further. The pullback can be towards 0.5 and further. If not, then I would think that at this point we'll break the 50 MA and we'll actually go down rather than carry on with our upward move. But one interesting story is that somebody linked the situation and the scenario right now to the year 2014. So let's quickly go back to the year 2014 to show you that in particular. So what happened is actually we experienced this cross that the price should go down, the death cross, and then at this particular moment there was a pump. So very similar to what we experienced, then a short retracement and then a further pump up, and this is something that we're experiencing right now. But after that the price was actually going down for quite a while, and this is the views of some of the traders that we picked up on Twitter, that they're actually thinking that we're currently in this phase where we're pumping with the BTC, but then we're still expecting the further move down, thinking and taking into consideration that this might be still a bear market. The problem with that theory from my perspective is that if we're taking the cyclical view of Bitcoin price, we're already been in one downward trend during 2018, and this can be counted as a full bear market. And currently we're just we skipped the accumulation zone, so currently we would still need to go down to have a little bit of accumulation going on in order to pump the price of Bitcoin above the previous highs. And this is our view, that we still need to drop the price a little bit further down to have this accumulation zone, and only then to pump it. Let's look at the short-term trading in terms of the Binance, and again you can see the markings and all the drawings that we did during the previous week, and we went into this scenario where we actually retested the 200 MA as a resistance. We went back already to test 8,500 as a support. So one scenario is that we're actually going up. So we might see an increase, a further increase in price, at least on the daily. But you need to be careful that if we're going to see the divergence over here in relation to price, then we would go down and retest this downward trend. If not, and we'll see a good volume on a breakout of the 200 MA, then we might see the idea that in a short term this will be an upward trend to at least 10,000. So let's quickly go to Ethereum, because Ethereum was quite surprising during the last week as well. So what we did in our market during the last week, we thought that Ethereum can stay in this horizontal channel between $140, $160, but it obviously went above it with quite a good volume. The 200 though acted as a resistance, so we currently accumulating in this area, so there can be a descending triangle formed over here, and then it will be very important to see what's gonna happen on the breakout of this descending triangle. So something like this can be formed. The price can move during this week, maybe even beginning of next, within that triangle, and then the breakout will determine whether the price would go up above the 200 MA, or it will go down into that channel of $160 to $140. Well, that was it for this week. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube and Telegram channels, and stay tuned with Wonderbit Trading. And best of luck with your trading.